At 2:47 local, the quiet of the Black Sea shattered. On a patrol boat's radar, tiny signatures bloomed like static and then tightened into a shape, a coordinated swarm threading the moonlit corridor toward Crimea. This is a lesson in modern warfare. Cheap platforms, clever geometry, and ruthless timing can break the most expensive defenses. Listen close. This is how it unfolded, and more importantly, why it worked. A Russian patrol vessel detected something that shouldn't have been possible. On its radar screen, a formation of tiny, unidentified signals was racing straight toward one of the most restricted airspaces on Earth, Crimea. What followed would uncover a devastating flaw in Russia's entire air defense network. Inside the patrol boat's control room, alarms sounded as operators scrambled to identify the incoming targets. Within seconds, 5 missiles roared into the sky, slicing through the darkness. 30 million rubles worth of precision weaponry unleashed in panic. Yet, when the smoke cleared, the drones kept coming. Small, fast, and impossible to lock onto, they continued toward the mountains of Crimea as if nothing had happened. Their destination was Mount Petri, home to Russia's most important radar and surveillance sites. The drones, each no bigger than a suitcase, had one mission: disable the air defense systems guarding western Crimea. But before reaching the summit, they had to survive the best weaponry Russia had. On the coastline below, a Panzer S-1 air defense vehicle tracked the drones, its radar dish spinning furiously. This wasn't a museum piece from the Cold War. It was one of Russia's most modern point defense systems, built to destroy cruise missiles and protect high-value installations. But as its operator fired round after round, something went terribly wrong. Missiles missed entirely. Cannons sprayed glowing tracer rounds across the night sky, but nothing hit. The drones seemed to vanish between radar sweeps, slipping through the system's detection zone like ghosts. The problem was physics. The Ukrainian drones were flying sideways across the radar beam, maintaining a perfect Doppler notch. Radars don't just see, they calculate how fast something moves toward or away from them. When a target moves perpendicular to the radar, that relative speed drops to nearly zero. The radar's computer interprets it as background clutter and filters it out. Even worse, the sea beneath the drones reflected radar waves, creating phantom targets. The Panzer's computer tried to average the real object with its reflection, confusing the system completely. Missiles veered off, chasing echoes instead of reality. And there was another problem: size. The Panzer's missiles were designed to detonate near objects with at least half a square meter of radar reflection. These drones reflected less than 1/100th of that. The fuses didn't even register them as targets. Russian radio channels erupted with chaos. Ground controllers demanded air support, operators shouted about malfunctioning radars, and commanders tried to coordinate responses to an enemy they couldn't see. Minutes later, a Russian Su-30 fighter jet screamed over the coastline. Its pilot locked onto the targets using a BARS radar, a system supposedly capable of spotting golf ball-sized objects in orbit. But on his display, the blips appeared and disappeared, fading into the noise. The radar's computer needed multiple consecutive sweeps to confirm a track, but the drone's weak reflections dropped below the noise threshold. The pilot couldn't maintain a lock. Still, he fired an R-73 missile, 20 million rubles of guided ordnance, straight toward the lead drone. The drone's onboard camera captured everything. The missile streaked through the sky, closing fast, until it abruptly veered off, missing entirely. The heat-seeking system was designed to chase jet engines glowing at over 1,000 degrees Celsius. The drone's tiny electric motors barely reached 50 degrees Celsius, about the warmth of a laptop. The missile couldn't see them. Desperate, the pilot fired again, then again. The shockwaves rattled the drone's camera, but the hits never came. Even traveling at Mach 2.5, the missiles couldn't turn fast enough to follow such small, erratic targets. Physics simply wouldn't allow it. Out of patience, the pilot switched to guns. A 30mm GSH cannon firing 1,500 rounds a minute. Tracers lit up the night, but none hit. The fighter's targeting computer predicted straight-line movement, but every 2 seconds the drones shifted course by a few meters. At a distance of 1 kilometer, those tiny shifts translated into complete misses. While Russia's finest hardware struggled, the drones reached their objectives. The first one slammed into a 96 L6E radar. NATO calls it cheeseboard, a vital system that fed targeting data to the S-400 missile batteries. Without it, the S-400s were blind. The drone's shaped charge detonated, sending molten copper through sensitive circuits, vaporizing millions of dollars of electronics in an instant. The Su-30 pilot, now out of ammunition and fuel, pulled away, admitting defeat. 4 missiles, hundreds of rounds, 0 kills. But what came next shocked even Russian commanders. New drone signals appeared on radar, not from Ukrainian territory, but materializing from the sea itself. 10 kilometers off Crimea's coast, a group of unmanned surface vessels, floating launch platforms, had been waiting silently. Each boat carried multiple FPV drones and was remotely linked to operators hundreds of kilometers away. The secret wasn't stealth, it was geometry. The massive Podlyot K-1 radar atop Mount I Petri could track missiles in space, but not targets below its radar horizon. At a height of around 1,100 meters, the radar's lowest scan angle couldn't see anything under 40 meters of altitude within 10 kilometers of the coastline. These drone boats cruised at 5 meters above sea level, literally below the radar's line of sight. They didn't need to hide. Physics did the hiding for them. Once the first drones hit their targets, the boats began launching more. Each drone accelerated into the dawn sky with the high-pitched whine of an angry hornet. The operators controlling them weren't anywhere near the battlefield. From safe locations in Odessa and Mykolaiv, Ukrainian crews sent commands via encrypted links to these offshore relay boats. The vessels acted like floating cell towers, equipped with antennas and Starlink terminals. The drones' video feeds traveled from the drones to the boats, then to Ukraine, almost instantaneously. This relay system meant the operators could conduct complex missions while sitting hundreds of kilometers away, drinking coffee, watching live feeds, and controlling deadly precision strikes with gaming-style controllers. By 2:57 a.m., multiple boats had joined the operation, each releasing their own swarm. The drones didn't fly in formation or follow predictable routes. They scattered randomly, mimicking the flight patterns of birds to avoid triggering automatic defense algorithms. Russia's coastal surveillance systems never flagged the boats as threats. Those radars automatically ignored anything moving under 20 knots, classifying it as civilian traffic. The Ukrainian USVs deliberately traveled at 15 knots or less, blending in perfectly with fishing vessels on radar screens. While the operator tried to recalibrate, new drones appeared, this time from multiple directions. They moved fast, only 40 meters per second, but their erratic flight made tracking impossible. Detection range was just 2 kilometers. The system needed at least 1.5 kilometers to arm its missiles. That left the Russians 12 seconds to react, and 0 chance to succeed. First principle: exploit the sensor, not the weapon. The attackers didn't try to outrun missiles or outgun fighters. They attacked what the system could not reliably see. The drones hugged a narrow altitude band, flying perpendicular to radar beams. That created Doppler notches. To the radar, they looked like sea clutter. Reflection from the water produced phantom echoes beneath the true contact. Fire control systems began chasing ghosts while the real drones slipped between the lines. In plain language, the enemy turned the radar's own math against it. Second principle: match tool to task. These weren't large cruise missiles. They were FPV and loitering munitions optimized for low observable returns and extreme maneuverability. Heat seekers and IR guided missiles starved for jet temperatures. The drone motors barely warmed beyond a laptop. High-G missiles and high-rate cannons are lethal against fighters and cruise threats, but their seekers, fuse-arming distances, and predicted lead algorithms are poor tribesmen in an asymmetric fight. When targets are small, cool, and jittery, physics wins. No amount of electronics erases the math. Third principle: create a redundant, resilient command link. Operators didn't sit on the shoreline. They were hundreds of kilometers inland, flying through relay platforms at sea. Unmanned surface vessels acted as floating cell towers, low profile, slow-moving, and intentionally benign on coastal surveillance radars. By keeping the control node in international waters and relaying encrypted commands, The attackers kept their people safe and exponentially extended reach. That's operational depth. Force projection without forward exposure. Without the early warning radars, the S-400s had no eyes. Without target acquisition, their launchers were useless. Without command links, their systems couldn't coordinate. The entire network, designed to repel NATO aircraft, was dismantled by a handful of small electric drones costing less than an iPhone.